Hey everyone, Dan with HRT, and today we're going to talk to you about different smoke grenade options, and we'll even show you some of their uses out on the range as well. All right, so let's talk about the use case of smoke grenades or smoke devices and why you might want to utilize those tools. So maybe you need to cover your path from one area to another and you have to cross a danger zone, somewhere that has wide open space, or maybe there's some cover, some concealment, but not a lot of it, and you want to kind of help your concealment, smoke is obviously not cover, to get to whatever point B from point A. So in which case you want to toss out your smoke grenades, maybe more than one, depending on how large this is, or maybe you need to stagger them out as you are moving to cover up your areas as you move from position to position. You could also utilize these different setups as different colors for communication. So you may have an established color code that goes with a certain thing. So maybe white says, we're moving. Maybe red says, hey, stay out of that area. Maybe purple is, maybe it's a watch out, or when you see purple smoke, you need to call me on a frequency that's predetermined. So the possibilities are endless as far as how you might want to communicate with smoke. You can just come up with 1,000 different versions. There are some common, like NATO established versions. So white might be used for covering movement, purple might be used for a landing zone, green might be utilized for a safe area or a cordon, red would indicate some type of a danger zone area, and orange could often be utilized as distress in like a maritime environment as well. So, and those can be flexible. Your unit or your individual group of people are going to determine those colors. Don't just follow a random guide you found on the internet. Make it something that's personal to you or to your unit's actual like pre-planned use of these. Don't just make something up. Now, if you're just using it for concealment, then yeah, use whatever color you want. That's going to be the best effectiveness in your area. But if you're going to use it for communication, make sure you've predetermined what colors mean what, and then how you'll see them and how you'll discuss them. So most of you are probably going to be familiar with, if I throw out an orange smoke and then I'm talking to someone on the radio, I'm going to have them confirm the color to me, not me confirm the color to them. Because if I say, hey, I see orange smoke, and they through orange smoke, but then the enemy knows we're looking for orange smoke, then they're going to throw orange as well. So make sure that you factor things like that into mind of who's going to see your smoke, because this isn't infrared smoke, this is visible smoke. So you're going to need to keep that type of stuff in mind that everyone can see this. And then finally, another consideration would be the wind. So if I throw this into an area with no wind, it's going to create a giant plume of smoke. If I throw it into an area that has wind that's sweeping in and swirling, like you may see in some of the videos, that may cause the smoke to drift this way, and then all of a sudden it hits another pattern of wind, and now it brings it back over this way. And that could be life or death if you're throwing it somewhere where now all of a sudden you're running through an area and your smoke went over here and you're running over there. So a lot of factors to consider as we use this type of equipment. So another consideration to utilizing any of the things here on the table would be your environment. So if you're in a very dry area where you're concerned about starting a wildfire or burning up your own equipment or base, you might want to use a hot box, which is simply just, in this case, an ammo can with some holes drilled in it. You could use any type of item that will not catch on fire from heat and put some holes in it and then put your smoke grenade inside of there. And then when you release the smoke grenade, you will not have the flames getting out onto the ground that'll be contained in here, but all of your smoke is still free to escape the box. We actually did set our range on fire at one point using some of these. So just keep that in mind. This is an alternative to starting a wildfire that goes on for 6 months or whatever. Definitely an easy fix to that if you have the means to that. All right, so let's get into some of the actual makes and models we have here on the table, and we'll discuss some of their performance. So up first, we have the Enola Gay 18X series. All the Enola Gay series are a wire pull. So you have a nice little ring up top here. You'll grab onto that, and as you pull it, you will start the fuse as you are ripping outwards. It's a pull cord, they're not crazy, but they're not as intuitive to someone who's been using like a pin style where you just pop the pin out from the top. So it's a little bit different because you are tearing the paper out and you might get your thumb in the way or your hand in the way, and so you gotta keep that in mind. Now the 18X model has a shorter runtime than the 18s. So you're gonna get a decent cloud of smoke. It's not gonna be as fast as some of your other models that are here on the table, and it's not gonna be as powerful as one that would potentially run a little bit longer. So these get about 45 seconds of runtime, and they're about $18 as of the time of the video. So not a bad deal for what you're getting, and I don't believe these require any special certificates, whereas the IWA ones will since they're utilizing a fuse system. Now up next is going to be the Enola Gay Standard 18 series. Just like the last version, these use that little pull tag that's on here. These run for 90 seconds, and they put out a little bit more smoke than the 18X model does. So that was nice. They're still kind of anemic compared to some of the other options on the table, but if you're kind of on a budget, those are some pretty great options. These actually run $18, so they're $1 cheaper than the 18X series, so you know if that's important to you. I did feel like these gave a little bit better of a smoke display than the 18X did. All right, so up next is going to be the Twin Burst. So this one's pretty small, which is a nice little, like, easy to carry. When you pull this pin, this is intentionally a rapid device. So when you pull this pin, you get out both ends. Smoke will come out on both sides there. And it only lasts for about 20 seconds. So keep that in mind. You have a very short window, but you do get a pretty good pattern of smoke compared to some of the other options rapidly, whereas one of these will take you a minute to a minute and a half to get out. This is only 20 seconds. Now, if you look at the size of the cartridge, we're gonna have less material in here, so you're not gonna get as much smoke. But if you need something that's rapid, maybe you need to beat the wind, or you know where the wind is going right now and you gotta get ahead of it, that might be somewhere that would be a better option. Or if you're just trying to smoke a very small area, like maybe a doorway or a garage door or an alley, something like this would be a better alternative. The good part about these is they're only about $12, so you could probably throw a crap ton of them in your pocket and then just throw 3 of them at the same time if you really wanted to. So that's a good tool. Downsides to some of these models are, though, they're just a cardboard container with some plastic wrap around them, and then the ends are pretty exposed here. If you do puncture that, like this one already has a puncture in it, now I can get water, moisture, and humidity type things inside of there, and I could potentially damage the effectiveness of my device. All right, so up next is the micro wire pull. So same as all the other Enola Gay series, you have a little wire to pull on the cap here. This is just one side, so it's only gonna come out the top here. And these do run for like 90 seconds, which is pretty good for something that's this small. But your smoke output is gonna match. So if you think of maybe like your 4th of July, the little like balls that people light, and then you can throw them or something, they have some smoke in them. That's basically this thing right here. They run just under $13, so it is pretty inexpensive, but for the performance, I think there's gonna be some better options on the table for a little bit more than grabbing these. Now, if you're just using it for maybe a photo shoot or literally clear one doorway from visibility, then that might be a better option for you, especially because they are pretty inexpensive. But the output of the smoke just really wasn't cutting it compared to other stuff on the table here. All right, so up next is gonna be the IWA M15 Smoke Deployment White, orange, red, we have all the different colors. These were actually really good for their cost, but also the size, if you compare them to just one of the regular Enola Gays here. So with the actual fuse structure, they're the same height, but the body is a little bit shorter. And you get about 45 seconds from, I'm just put them all together. You get about 45 seconds of runtime. There is a short delay from the time you pull the pin to when it goes off. It's about 2 seconds. And they immediately start dumping smoke quite well. I was very impressed with these, especially for their size of their output there. This is a twist pin. So you may see in the video the first time I pulled the pin, I totally flubbed it because I was just thinking straight pull, yank it out, and their safety device works really well. You can't just pull it straight out unless you're like just Hulk Hogan that thing open or something. So you do want to keep in mind you have to twist and then remove the pin. I don't want to do it here in the studio because we won't be able to breathe for the next 45 seconds at least. They offer these in a range of colors, red, orange, yellow, purple, white. I think they even have a black model. There's green. So just all kinds of your different colors, everything you'd really expect. They fit into pouches really nice. Actually, you can throw some of these into the utility pouches that you'll find on our website. And keep an eye on our website because you'll probably be seeing some of the IWA ones floating around on there soon. So just a really cool device. These are a little bit more expensive than some of the Enola Gay options. You're gonna be looking about $35 for those, which is not, $35 isn't terrible for something like that. The packaging is a little bit more secure. They do still have a cardboard construction, but the way they've affixed this label all the way around it and then capped the top of the fuse area with this like plastic container section, I don't feel like you're gonna run into some of the issues you could hear of getting it wet. Now, obviously, if you soak it in water, then yeah, it's probably not gonna do anything. But it is a little bit protected from rain, humidity, things like that. If you put it into a nice fancy pouch, you should avoid those type of issues as well. And then you could also put some tape around the bottom or something if you were really worried about water getting in there. Again, $35. The downside is you do, at least from IWA's website, you have to order a couple of them, and you will need to take their pyrotechnics class first. So same applies to HRT. If you're gonna buy them from us, you will need to do the pyrotechnics professional licensing, which is a very simple course, but you will need to complete that before you can purchase these. All right, so up next is gonna be the M15 smoke grenade from IWA. This is their large model, and as you can see, it's got a couple big extra inches there on the small size version. Now these are getting pretty close to actual like real life smoke grenades. I'm pretty impressed. This is just a standard large, and they run for about 45 seconds of smoke time. The fuse is again about 2 seconds. With any of these options, the IWA ones, there is a pop when you pull that pin and deploy it. So keep that in mind if you're trying to do it sneakily, if that's even a word. It's probably not something that you're going to be able to do silently. So keep in mind how far away the person or people you're trying to hide yourself from are. They may hear the pop and then know that this is going to be coming out, or some munition is going to be coming out. These were genuinely phenomenal. They're $45 a pop, so they are a little bit more expensive than these, and definitely more expensive than these. But I do think you get what you pay for. The construction is nicer and better, and there's not all kinds of weird debris falling out of them like this. They do have nicely sealed off here at the bottom and a nice slick wrapper on the outside. So they look good. They throw good. You do get your emissions out of the bottom here. And you also get a pop out the bottom. So don't cover the bottom and then pull your pin, because you're going to end up in some pain. I was surprised. They were much better than some of the other options we've had. And for being a civilian legal smoke grenade, I wasn't expecting a lot. And these are definitely pretty nice. Up next is going to be the M15 Rapid version. So it's very similar to the standard one. I don't have one here on the table. They are just a faster emission version of the same device. So they put out the same amount of smoke from a regular M15, but they do it in a faster time span. So you still have about a 2.5 second delay from the time you pull the pin to you get your actual smoke coming out. But then you've got probably a 30-second burn time, at which point it's getting out as much smoke as this one is in a much faster time. So if you really want to cover a space fast, that will be a better option compared to maybe like the Enola Gay twin port system, since you are going to be able to put out more smoke with this model than this one. It's actually, I would call it usable. It's actually to a point of actually being able to conceal your movement from a large open space. And now finally, let's talk about the military style, the M18s. This one's an ALS model. This one is an actual M18. There is a very clear line that's about right here from professional use and kind of more of a hobby use. Unfortunately, you can't find these in most places. If you do find them, they're illegal, thanks to the fuse inside of them, which it's, from what I've been able to find, the amount of explosive in the fuse is not enough to make it an actual destructive device, but for some reason the ATF in their infinite wisdom has classified it a destructive device. So keep that in mind. If you are utilizing these, you'll need to have them through the approved people and approved people on site and follow the paperwork and all those types of things. So do keep those things in mind, whereas from this line over, These just need a certification, and these you can just go on the website and buy. Now, the use of these was very different than the use of these. I could submerge this in water and not worry about it. I can take it out in Vietnam in the monsoons and not worried about it. Whereas these, I would probably run into some issues with that over time. Their output was phenomenal. They really did smoke out our entire range section, which you can see in the videos. Absolutely would have no problem moving behind that and being very well covered, well concealed from other people that are trying to either observe or engage us. So pretty big difference between these and some other things on the table, although the M15 series did come pretty close. So that's pretty nice. So these are pretty much unobtainium. If you do find them, keep it to yourself. So these are a lot of fun, but they're pretty hard to get unless you have a military or law enforcement connection where you can bring those people out as you're using them and acquire them from those people. These, again, just a certification that you'll need to pick those up. You can find those over at our website soon, but you can also go to IWA and get those directly from them. And then you can hop on Enola Gay's website for any of their models and options as well, should you have an interest in some of these. Again, these are going to be on the lower cost end, so if you just want to buy a bunch of them or you're on a budget, those are a great fit. If you've got the funds to pick up some of the little bit nicer ones, check out these models. And then if you are really blessed and have the opportunity to use those, then just use those. They're definitely worth it. So again, as with all of these, keep in mind wind shifting, observation by your enemy forces. So keep all those things in mind, and then how much space you might be wanting to cover. So they'll determine your use case for which one is going to be best for you or how you'll want to use it. So thanks for checking out this video. Follow us on our social media channels at Facebook and Instagram, and then run over to hrttacticalgear.com if you need some pouches or products to fit these onto your kit as well. Thanks again.